We all follow those faceless Instagram and TikTok accounts racking up followers with daily news recaps and viral takes. And in this video, I'll show you how they do it. We'll build an automation that scrapes Google News and turns those headlines into ready to post content using AI. We'll start from scratch and I'll walk you through every step, scraping headlines, writing prompts, and generating actual posts with AI. Let's dive in. So this is a continuation of my what I'm calling infinite idea generator. So I have already created a video on how to scrape Instagram reels, not just posts, but reels. And I did a video on scraping YouTube videos. And the idea is that we want to have a plethora of ideas coming at us from all different directions so we can brainstorm and come up with whatever posts, LinkedIn posts, YouTube posts, reels, TikToks, like whatever we want. So this one specifically, we're going to cover Google News topics, or more importantly, news topics. Google is actually very hard to scrape, and there are tools out there. You can use Apify and some others. If you're not familiar with Apify, let me pull it up real quick. Apify is a tool that allows you to scrape about anything on the internet. And there are Google News scrapers. The only thing is they are somewhat expensive. And if you want something that is probably quick and fits in with your stack, and maybe you're already paying for Apify, you can use one of the Google News scrapers. But if we look at them, they are $20 a month plus usage. So like it's worth it. If you're using it a ton, it's probably worth it. I'm sure there's some features that you could get in this that you might not be able to get with some other ways of doing it. But I have a way that you don't need to actually use Apify or pay for this. And I'll cover that in just a minute. But the idea is we want to scrape Google News or some type of recent news and use those news topics to generate, use those news headlines to generate some type of content and topics. So we're going to go through actually scraping and then all the way through generating a post. So let's get started. So I've already created a Google Sheet that will store our topics and ultimately our recent news. We'll start here. So I just have topic and I have search query. And the query is what ultimately we'll put through our news aggregator, like our search topics. I chose AI because it's constantly changing. There's constantly like new products, but you can use any topic you want to use. And then I've already created a starter, just blank make scenario. If you're not familiar with make automates everything, which is ultimately what we want. And we're going to first grab our Google Sheet, get range values, and get our spreadsheet. Then our sheet name and our values. So what was that? A2 to A, let's just do A4. I don't know. We don't actually need them all for this example. Then our table does contain headers. We have A1 to B2. Oh, sorry, these are B. This is B. A is our topic, just the description of the topic. B is our actual search. So we want to get the search queries. A1 to B2. And let's just run it, make sure we get the correct content. And we did, I think, right? Then we went, yeah. So these would be the search queries that we want to do. So this would be like what you would put in Google to find, like put in Google News to find content. So now let's actually do something with these. Now, like I said, you could use Apify and actually go and scrape these, but again, there's a significant cost associated with those. And what Google and some of the other search engines offer is an RSS feed, and you can actually do an RSS feed of the news. And the magic is that you don't need a subscription for that. So if I type in RSS, I can go grab any RSS feed I want, which is much better than paying $20 for a scraper. And I'm sure there's a good reason to pay $20 a month for that scraper, but so far from what I've seen, the RSS feed seems to work great. So we just want to retrieve RSS feed news or items. Now, I will add a caveat that if you really, really, really want to scrape Google News specifically, this actually won't work. with the RSS feed. The reason is the RSS feed within Google returns a Google link, and you can't actually follow that link easily. And so you ultimately need a scraper. And there are some other scrapers. You don't have to necessarily pay the $20 a month for that scraper that you can use. But I did go about this and I spent a while trying to figure it out and gave up. And I was like, eh. And Bing, which is not my preferred search engine, also delivers great news articles. So Bing has their RSS feed like this. I can actually just throw it up here, I think. Yeah. So I can throw it up here. So Bing has their RSS feed, and you can see all the data that you get from it. And it looks like I put in the query of OpenAI language model. So this would be any type of like search and news around OpenAI. And you can see with some news coming in. Here's why that's actually good news. OpenAI seeks to make its upcoming OpenAI model best in class. So we're just going to get a bunch of news about this article, which is great. And then you get the information and you get the link, which is this link here. So we're going to use those links to go and scrape the page and actually get more information about the content or about the topic. So let's get started on this piece. And really all we need to do is throw in that URL. Let's just do this first. Throw in the URL, and then we want to be able to replace our query here. And our query just gets replaced by grabbing our topic from our Google Sheet, and we just need to URL encode it. URL encode our text, and that should be all we need. And our date, we don't really want old content. Technically, the RSS feed returns everything because there's not a date within our RSS feed, at least from what I've seen. Maybe there is. I actually didn't look. There might be, but this we're not going to add the date right now because it just gives you the most recent news articles. Like, I don't know if there's a limit on the RSS feed. So if we wanted to, we could do like add days, do now, and then do -7. So let's say we want the last week, or -2, -1, whatever. Let's do 7. And then date 2, we don't, doesn't matter. We can just go to the future forever. Maximum number of returned results. Let's just do, I don't know, 3 for now so we don't go crazy. And what's in the advanced? Anything interesting? Nope. Username, password if you need to do basic auth. We don't need to. So we can just hide that and save. So let's just run this, see what we get. We should get a bunch of RSS news. It went pretty fast, which is great. And here we go. Look at that, bunch of news. So this is going to come back in our bundles, bunch of collections for our news, and we get the title. We get a decent description. Bing actually returns a decent description, and you'll see we can fall back on it when the URL has, if we can't access that URL for some of the news articles, we can actually fall back on the description, and it does a decent job of returning some ideas of what we could talk about for that news article. So it's great. So it's a great start. So now let's just go a step further and actually go and see if we can get each of those pages. If we can actually access the website and get the data, we might as well. So we'll grab the URL from here. So get, and this should be it. Again, what's in advanced settings? Anything interesting? I don't think so. Follow redirects. Yeah, let's actually turn that on. Follow all redirects. Yes, we'll see what it gets us to. We'll save that. All right, let's run and see what we get. Super quick. And we get our input. Our output is the website. A bunch of gibberish, a bunch of HTML gibberish. And let's see if we can actually do some of the HTML gibberish. So we can grab HTML to text and then turn this HTML into, don't need anything advanced settings, potentially some text. Let's see what this looks like. So we'll just look at the bundle here and see what came out. Came out this one. Here we go. So text. So this pulled our content. It's great. All right, now let's actually do something with the data we get. So now we're really just coming up with ideas at this point. So let's have a little AI session. We'll use O3 Mini. And just so you don't have to watch me type all of this. And then, so we have the developer system. We just threw something simple in there. You're a social media expert, content strategy, expert social media content strategist. Please help me create viral posts. And then let's go into user. I'll paste in the version I wrote already just to not have to type it all for you. So this pretty much says, you're tasked to create a concise summary of the HTML, like the article. So if there's not, it falls back on the description. So you can see the article description, there's an existing summary. And then this is just returning the actual result, just text. We don't need to return JSON or have it create JSON object in this case. So that should get us our first version. Again, let's run this real quick and just see that we have summaries. All right, let's see what summary we got. And here's our result. So we have the first article. I'm not really sure what it's about. Wait, I can look at the summary. That'll tell me what it's about. OpenAI retires ChatGPT 4 and GTP 4.5 to focus on reasoning models and prepare for GPT 5. Also created a good summary. Cybersecurity leaders are challenged by adversarial AI threats. AI-powered defenses help counter data exfiltration tactics. So these are great. If you're in the AI space and you want to write articles that are in real time, this is all brand new stuff. And I have noticed, like any news, you're going to get old news within some of the new news, but that's where we'd continue adding on layers of prompts and AI where we can identify, like, is this new, is it old, and really fine tune what type of content that you actually want your ideas to be generated around. Cool. So now that we have ideas, let's get this in Google Sheets first, just so we know what we're doing, that it's all connected, and then we'll add a few more layers of actually generating a post. This time we're going to grab our recent news sheet, and we have headers, and it pulls in the headers for us. So we just need to add our news. So let's do topic. We can actually pull our topic from our first Google Sheet, so it sticks with almost like a tag. If you have certain topics you want to talk about, we can continue that along. So if we know we're talking about OpenAI specifically versus Claude versus some other type of LLM. Capture date, I had this in here, we just do now. So we could see when we actually captured it versus when it was posted. Oh, and it looks like I don't want that summary. I want our new summary that we just generated. There we go, save, and then let's run it again. And we got something. Let's see what it put. Here we go. So now we've added our new ideas. Let's make that not bold. Into our Google Sheet. We have our article, which is great. And then we have the summary for each of these, which is exactly what we want. So here's our article and summary. So you technically could stop there, and these are great ideas. These are brainstorms you could run and see new news articles. I think the idea you'd probably go further and narrow this down, because otherwise you could just have news articles open across a bunch of different platforms. The other piece would be that this is collecting news from a bunch of different search queries and putting them all in one location. But at some point, like if you ran all of these search queries, there would be a lot of content. So you would ideally need another prompt that would end up refining those into what you're specifically looking for. That's super powerful. Now you're not spending all the time going and doing the research, looking around. It's kind of collecting it for you. That'd be huge. So now let's actually make a little space here. And just for fun, let's have it create some posts for us. So again, let's throw in our developer. What did I use for this one? Just grab the same one. Developer, just copy and paste the same one we had, and then use this one for now. And this one, what do we have? Just returning. Yeah, this one is going to return JSON. So we need to open up our advanced. We want it to return JSON and go ahead and parse the JSON for us. Save. And let's run it real quick and see what we get. All right, we got it. So let's see what our result was. We have our JSON response. It parsed it for us, and it gave us the prompt was for a title. So we got a title for our post, and then we have a caption. So we have a caption for our post. All right, then we have the image description too, which is what we want. So this gives us a nice hook that we wanted. So this could be text that we put on it. Again, change the prompt based on if you want a little longer, a little shorter. I actually don't really like the questions. I don't think I added, that there's a question in there. So you might want to take the question out, and you would just refine it on what you want to copy. Some I've seen too with Instagram specifically, you'd have like 3 or 4 images. So you could break this up into, hey, I have 3, I'm making a carousel of sorts, and please give me a hook for each one, like a caption for each one, as well as some type of imagery, like image text for each one. But it's super cool. I mean, this is a great example. And then now we're just going to get this into our Google Sheet, link it up. And then before I run it, let's actually do one more thing just for fun. Let's have it create an image. What do we use here? Generate an image. And this module only requires a prompt and not the like the messaging back and forth. So we just put a prompt in it. So again, I have already written a prompt. We just need to link it up. So we just need the image description. But this pretty much says like, hey, create a hyper-realistic Instagram style image based on the following concept. You can change this to whatever style you want, so this is hyper-realistic Instagram. So we could say, create a cute and friendly Instagram style image based on the following concept. And then you can mess with the quality. So there's like quality, standard, HD. We'll just do standard, vivid, natural. I don't really know what the difference is between those, and response format URL. So it'll return a URL. You could also have return the image file. So if you need to do something with image like the binary file instead, you can do that too. So return the URL, and then we'll link our URL in here. This should just be the final URL that's going to come out. And that's it. All right, let's run it and see what post we get with our cute, fluffy, happy character that it's going to create for us. So we have our new posts, which I'm sure are amazing. What do we have here? Post idea, title, AI Shield, Cybersecurity Unleashed. Discover how today's cybersecurity leaders are harnessing AI to counter emerging cyber threats in real time. Again, probably fix the prompt because this isn't really giving this is sort of describing the link, the topic, versus actually giving some type of point of view or just sharing the information. And then post image idea, futuristic landscape. Why is everything futuristic? I must have had that in the prompt. Defend, adapt, secure. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's open the image and see what it came up with. Oh, look at that. It mixed our cute, happy little character with our futuristic black and blue coloring. That's hilarious. So that's a setup. That's a scenario. So ideally, you would go and add a bunch of your own topics, your search queries. You'd let this run, remove the limits on some of these, probably check for duplicates. Again, I would add an extra layer in here that's refining all of the ideas that are coming back specific to what your channel or niche might be, and refine it so that you can have, maybe 100 articles from the day turn into 10 that you can then filter manually. Definitely needs to be some type of human in the loop on all of this, but this should get you 80-90% of the way there. And hopefully this was helpful, and this is your next step in your infinite idea generator. And if you found this valuable, please like, subscribe, and check out my next video.